Hey, what's up, StrongFirst community, TSC participants, judges, and hosts? My name is Derek Toshner, and before I get started, on behalf of myself, my brother Ryan, and StrongFirst, I want to take time to thank you for jumping on this video to learn the judging standards of the TSC. If we're going to make the TSC better and bigger, one of the things we need to do is get uniform judging across the globe. So let's get started with the first event, the deadlift. Now, there's not a whole lot of things that you can do wrong in the deadlift, but I will show a couple mistakes that will give you a qualified or disqualified repetition. Before we get started with that, I want to talk about a few quick safety things that a judge is going to want to be aware of before we get started. First, do make sure that their collar's on the bar. That's just a safety thing. Make sure that the bar is evenly loaded. As a number of competitors come through, the bar is going to be changed quickly and often, and we want to make sure that there's an even load on both sides. So as you're sitting in front, that's the place you want to judge from. If there's only one judge, do double check to make sure that everything is right, okay, and safe for the competitor. If they're making a blatant mistake like lining up incorrectly, go ahead and tell them that before they start deadlifting the bar. Also, as a judge, or if you're a competitor listening right now, know that the judges do have the ability to stop a repetition if they deem it unsafe. So in the kettlebell snatch, if they drop the weight while they're snatching, the repetition could be not counted. In the deadlift, if you're horribly rounding your back or twisting or something really, really ugly, the judge can stand up and say, no, set it down, that's enough, and stop the repetition right there. So let's get into it. The judging standards for the deadlift are similar to that in powerlifting. The competitor is going to get 3 attempts. Once they choose a specific weight, they can never go down in weight from there. They can continue to try that weight for their full 3 attempts or 1 attempt and then move up in weight, whatever they choose to do. They can move up in whatever increments they want to move up in. A traditional deadlift stance, they can do a sumo deadlift stance, and they can choose whatever grip they want, even a hook grip, right? We cannot use deadlift or squat suits. We can't use like knee wraps or wrist straps or hooks that hook around the bar. If you've been training, you got a hook right here and a hook right here anyway, so you don't need those extras, right? The only accessory thing that we can have on us is a belt for safety and helping us create tension. So if you do choose to use a belt, I think that's to your advantage, especially when you're doing max out efforts. Now, there's just a few basic things that you can do wrong in the deadlift. The first and most common that I see is dropping the bar. This is a competition, and I know you're going to be excited, especially when you hit new PRs. You're going to go up to that bar, you're going to get in position, you're going to hit that new PR, and you're going to be like, yes, I got it. No, you didn't get it. You were 99% complete. You have to set the bar down with both hands on the bar. Now, you can set it down fast, boom, but you can't drop it. It's nothing worse for a judge to see a competitor get this amazing new PR and then, be 99% complete and then drop it from the top. They're going to say that is a disqualified repetition. So make sure you hang on to that bar all the way to the ground. Second, kind of along with that, but you don't see this very often, is if you come up to the bar and you get set and you start to pull but realize you're out of position, so long as your hands don't leave the bar, you can reset and then give it another pull, okay? So long as your hands don't leave the bar and the bar doesn't come off the ground. If the bar starts to lift off the ground and you set it back down, it's already a counted repetition. The other 2 things that we're going to see are ramping and hitching. And similar to the bar leaving the floor and then going down and then pulling it again, we can't do that. We can't grab the bar, start pulling up, and then have the bar come down and then finish coming up. That is an illegal rep. Once the bar starts coming up, it has to continue upward motion. Now, don't mistake that for the bar pausing and then continuing to come up, or the competitor shaking. Oftentimes when you see a max out effort, the competitor will either stall out and then often stalling out followed by some kind of shaking up like this, that's going to be totally fine as long as the bar continues to come up. Ramping. Ramping is another common thing that we see that's going to be a disqualified repetition. As the bar is coming up, the competitor leans back and sets it on their thighs, almost driving their knees forward, and then finishes the lift from there. This is a little bit easier to see from the side, so if you do have two judges at your facility, have the first judge sitting in the front, another judge sitting off to the side, that would be an ideal situation. If you only have one, you just saw what it looks like from the front. Finally, another disqualified repetition is when we don't roll the shoulders forward. Oftentimes, a competitor is really strong. They're going to deadlift and they're going to get to here. This looks pretty close, especially from the front. So again, this is where another side judge is going to really come in helpful. They have to get to here, okay? Now, don't mistake that for some crazy back extension, right? We don't need to be like leaning back, right? We just have to come full, straight, and vertical, get those shoulders back. We can't have the shoulders rounded and call that a completed rep. So, very simply, before I leave you and move on to the pull-ups, this is what a good repetition looks like. Right there. You'll even see the judge have their hand up. That means you can walk up to the bar and approach it. It's ready to go. And then when you get to the top, they'll do this, and that means you can put it down, and hopefully you've had your successful rep, and we see all sorts of new PRs in the TSC for you. So, thanks for joining us in the deadlift. Click on the next video and take a look at the pull-up standards.